Welcome to Thoroughbred 360, insights, stories and strategy from the commercial world of thoroughbred racing with your host, Bruce Slade.
Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Thoroughbred 360. This is episode 36. It's all starting to warm up, the weather's starting to warm up, the good horses are back at the trials and back at the races. Spring is upon us, and I think on Saturday, the Missile Stakes was the start of a really nice build into an exciting spring. A few points out of Ninja's victory, which we'll touch on. Of course, Ninja trained by Michael Friedman, ridden by Tommy Berry on Saturday for a massive group of my racehorse owners. He is an exciting horse, this. Of course, through his 3-year-old season, always just showed some real glimpses of X factor, some elite speed, some wins from back in the field that were just too good to be true. They just, played tricks with the eye, played tricks with the mind, the things he was able to do. He's a little bit special, this horse. And first point I want to touch on with him was, of course, we are 2 months out from the Everest now. And it was very interesting on Saturday, noted the tab mentioned that there was a lot of money come for Ninja before the Missile in the Everest. So it was a lot of place money, I believe. And this, I think, pointed to something very interesting at play in the dynamics of the commercial market right now is the Everest slots. 12 Everest slots at $700,000 a piece. As a slot holder, how are you playing your hand now with the view that Kai Ying Rising, who was so dominant last year, is the world's highest rated racehorse, is coming back for this year's Everest. He will be a short price favourite. And how do you get yourself in a position to sort of defend or protect your $700,000 outlay by still having a good enough horse to give yourself a chance of winning, but getting yourself a deal where if you run second, third, fourth, you're still, like I say, getting or recouping a big chunk of your outlay. So that'll be very interesting, the dynamics of how the Everest slot works this year. Very interesting. Who will pick up Ninja? I think he looks to be one of the leading hopes in the Everest. I think he's just got that little bit of X factor about him. Now a 4-year-old, more mature, and obviously in great form, having won on Saturday. The second point I thought that I want to touch on from Ninja's win in the Missile Stakes was this idea that, a stallion can be doing a very good job stakes winners to runners wise. He might be in his fair share of Group 1 winners, his fair share of winners, etc., etc. But there's nothing like a star horse, a blockbuster horse in the spring and summer to really generate for you some top spin come the yearling sales in 2027. So right now, if you do have the progeny of like a Wheeling by Farnan or a Merrin Foaling down to Farnan, etc., I think you're in a really nice position because not only does he have Ninja, who I think can really kick on and make a nice name for himself, but he's also got a young 3-year-old called Castillo King coming through who looks like he might be top draw too. And if that does happen, I think there's a lot at play right now for Farnan to really go into this year's yearling sales with plenty of top spin compared to what he had in 2026. Now, a lot of that is obviously riding on Castillo King. I think the market loves to see it happen twice, if that makes sense. Lightning striking twice. If you can have Ninja and then have it backed up by another very good horse, then I think that bodes very well for him. And I just wanted to mention that because I think as a pinhooker, a Wheeling pinhooker, or a breeder, I think you like to think about nailing some commercial upside by going to stallions who, you think have the profile or have a proven record of getting these blockbuster horses, but also secondly have the opportunity coming through to get these blockbuster horses in time for you to sell on the back of them. I think there's no greater upside for the breeder commercially than, like I say, these blockbuster horses. Other horses in that same boat, stallions right now in the same boat, Autumn Sun through Autumn Glow and Autumn Boy, both look like they're going to have big parts to play in the spring. The other ones on face value right now, Guest House, of course, for Home Affairs, and he's got another couple other horses there that are coming through as well that'll be playing out in the big feature 3-year-old races. He looks well placed, Home Affairs, for the next yearling sales season, as does Stay Inside through Blue Door. A couple of other nice Coolmore chances, the likes of Our Emperor, the Machine Gun, etc. And even though he's past Snitzel, he's probably the best placed of all. The likes of Campione d'Italia, Fireball, St. Goddard, the next episode. He looks very well placed for those people that have schnitzel progeny on the ground or in utero. And of course, they head to all the spring 3-year-old feature races. Third thing I want to touch on was just this view that, Farnan seems to be working very well where he has some level of stamina on the dam side. So he's obviously fun by not a single doubt out of a street cry mare. His best progeny so far, Ninja, out of a So You Think mare. His Golden Gift winner, North England, out of a Lope de Vega mare. Castillo King, now he is out of an Exceed Excel mare, but his second dam, well, that horse's second dam is Unearthly, who was by Zabeel. So just something to look out for. Not only that outcross blood for Farnan, but also that little bit of, I guess, middle distance influence that helps those Farnans carry that speed a little bit longer. Something to look out for. Ninja, of course, from an incredible family. This So You Think daughter of Procrastinate. What a mare she has been. I was looking through her statistics. 6 daughters have now produced stakes winners or stakes horses out of Procrastinate. Just an enormous family. And the great thing about this Procrastinate family is not only a great family, but it's a great looking family, and therefore the progeny can then capitalize on any of that stake success in the sales ring. Ninja now, of course, looking like he's going towards the Wink Stakes, 2 weeks from the Missile Stakes, 1,400 meters. And what a matchup that might be. There might be the likes of Aliana there, Autumn Glow, Autumn Boy, Baywatch maybe there. See horses like Shield Wolf, etc. in the noms too. So that could be an absolute cracking start to the Group 1 season here in Australia. Moving now to Melbourne, I thought the most dominant performance there was from Cavalry Girl. She is by Bivouac. She won a stakes race at the end of last season. Retained her fitness, of course, for Tom Dabeneg and the Prime Thoroughbreds team there. Joe O'Neill, they'll be absolutely wrapped with this filly. She took on the older horses for the first time, 1,000 metres, and she absolutely belted them. Hard to win by that sort of margin, or put that sort of space in them around the home corner over 1,000 metres. She is rapid by Bivouac, as I mentioned, and a really progressive sprinter moving forward. What I want to say from her performance was 2 things. She's out of an I'm Invincible mare called Islands, and now we're seeing this rise of I'm Invincible not only being a champion sire, but you mark my words, he is a champion Broodmare Sire to be, and I don't think anyone would argue against that. He's just a horse that leaves good-looking stock, which helps him get to the right yards. He's a top sire himself. A lot of fillies out of good families coming through, so that'll help him from his Broodmare sire prospects down the track. A lot of nice fillies out of well-bred families that are coming through from 2, which will help him in the Broodmare Sires Premiership going forward. And most of all, he's just so compatible with so many lines here in Australia, particularly that Danehill line as on show with Cavalry Girl. He's had 2 Group 1 winners already as a Broodmare Sire, 15 stakes winners, I'm Invincible. So early days from in his breeding career in terms of his daughters. But Asfura, 1, and Kimochi, another, that are Group 1 winners already from I'm Invincible mares. And expect him to perhaps really light up later on. Remember, this is a horse that kicked off at 10 grand, covering 10 grand mares. And it's not until 10 seasons later where he's covering his books at 200 grand plus, much better quality mares. And when the daughters and the females from those matings come through, that'll really light him up and will allow him to find another level in terms of his Broodmare Sire potential. So, yeah, couldn't be more strong on I'm Invincible mares. Good looking horses, great prospects as a Broodmare Sire. And I think buyers at any sale would have a lot of confidence buying progeny out of I'm Invincible mares. Secondly, we'll touch on Bivouac. I just wanted to touch on the importance of time, just giving horses time to really find their feet, find their maturity, and then give their best on the racetrack. I think we are, as a racing nation, New Zealand probably been very good at it for a long time. Australia, only more recently, with the prize when we have on offer, giving horses time, keeping them sound mentally, physically, There's so much prize money to be won if you can keep a horse in good shape. And there's no doubt horses don't reach full maturity until they're 4 and above. And if you've got them then rolling in, at that time, there's still so much stakes to be won. And I think we've seen that with Bivouac. You know, a lot of breeding rights sold early in that horse because people were getting out, didn't like the types he was leaving. The sale results were average at best for a horse of his profile, just on the types he was leaving. And, you know, but he's a horse that's really sort of come through with the goods now, getting a lot of nice stakes horses around him in Australasia, and no doubt probably improve again as 4-year-olds. Another example of that was on Saturday with ERNAUX. I mean, she was a Vinny filly out of a booklet. You know, early days, she was getting beaten midweek for it felt like a whole season. I know she jagged some black type in a pretty weak sort of stakes race in Queensland in her 3-year-old season, very well placed. But, you know, on Saturday, another year older, Saturday, Metro class, good track, good field. And she was dynamic on Saturday and dominant on the backup. So just a good example of, you know, just being patient. I know there's a lot of pressure, particularly around a mare like that who costs so much, a $3 million yearling. But there's so much pressure on those horses to perform early. You can get very downhearted or disheartened and downtrodden early. But it's amazing if you can just give those horses their time and let them find their feet. You know, it took her a while to break a maiden, and now she's black type placed in a Saturday Metro winner, and looking like, you know, she could be a stakes class 4-year-old for Resolute Racing and the Waller camp. So well done to those guys for being so patient. Good to see her win so well on Saturday, and a good for us all just on patience. In the 3-year-old ranks, I thought we saw a couple of really nice performances. A horse called Stakes, and he's hopefully heading towards Stakes grade now for Lindsay Park. A son of Capitalist, and actually a very first for a Capitalist on Saturday with Stakes by Capitalist beating a son of Profiteer. Quite interesting to watch. Of course, both sires stand at Newgate, so it was a bit tricky to know who to cheer for. But I think that is a first for, you know, a young sire in Capitalist now as a sire of sires taking on progeny of his sons, which was pretty cool to see. But yeah, Stakes, nice horse, heading places out of a Star Witness mare. He's got a really strong record, this horse, and obviously in at the right time in those Rupert League colours to head to stakes races now through the spring. In Queensland, we saw a very nice performance from Queen Olympias, daughter of Wild Ruler. Gee, started the season well. He's had 3 winners now already. We're only 10 days into the season. Winners in nice places with good trainers for good outfits, and a filly like this who, you know, this is an open race for 3-year-olds in Queensland in the middle of the spring. A lot of nice horses there with good reputations. She jumped, led, was cruising, loved the way she was just doing things and had control of the race. 100 metres out, she saw the winning post, shied, ran across the track, and obviously still got up after a protest, but she would have won by a long way had she stayed straight. And, you know, as she knows now, it's just a winning post and nothing to be fearful of. But yeah, she looks like a really nice filly for Glen Logan Park, Chris Anderson Racing. She is a filly that no doubt destined for some stage races through her 3-year-old season. And this Wild Ruler, $25,000. He looks like great value right now, given he's really is giving it to and going toe to toe with the likes of Home Affairs and staying inside of that top of that, you know, first season championship from last season. A final note, something I pulled from the Tim Ferris podcast, of my favorite podcast. It's the one I've probably listened to the most hours of, one I do highly recommend. Just love him as a person more than anything. Love the way he approaches life, Tim Ferris. And I think the way he goes about interviewing his guests, the guests he has on, but also the way he goes about interviewing them can add a lot of value to the way you approach your own lives. So I thought I'd just leave you with something Tim said about AI, and I thought he was bang on. He's very positive about AI in terms of its ability to create jobs as well as delete them. So it's going to be a net positive for our world. And he also touched on what AI wasn't going to be able to replace. And the one of the top things he said was, you know, that physical interaction, you know, good services that provide you with that physical interaction, whether it be human in our case with our industry, horses. I think as an industry and within your own businesses and own way you do things, that's vital. We've got to keep adding value through those physical contact stages, going to the races, seeing your horse get saddled up, talking to the strapper, talking to your jockey, talking to your trainer, talking to your fellow owners, sharing a drink, celebrating together, commiserating together, whether it be the breeding side of things, video updates, going to go and pat your mare, touch your foal. We've just got so many opportunities to give people very unique experiences, very educational experiences, very soul-filling and heartwarming experiences. So those are those key points of value that we can really do well as an industry. It's something to focus on and something to keep as an offering through all our work that we do in the game. So I'll leave you with that thought to round out the podcast. I'll leave you with that to work on within your own businesses, within your own interactions or dealings in the game. I hope you guys all have a great week, and thank you so much for listening.